Hello and welcome to Needing a Meeting. My name is Carol. I will be your host today, and I don't know why my intro stopped in the middle, but it did. Nonetheless, here we are. Hey, Minsk. Nice to see you. Welcome. Hey, Tara Smiling. And hello, Ben Bacon Bits. Hey. Hey. Yo.
Sorry, I was trying to figure out why. Oh, how silly of me. I forgot I have a timer on my outbox to keep me from sending emails without sending emails that I mean in the moment, but that may not necessarily be best. Yes, I have a timer on it. It goes for a couple minutes.
Hey,
Um,
Matrix Rabbit. Good to
yeah,
see you.
let me get this real quick here.
So I'm going to put the link up and
Oh,
maybe
okay. I
some
was going
people.
to do it, but okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
God.
That's fine either way. I have a thing that a topic I wanted to bring up,
Mhm.
and it is what brought you to the place of deciding to quit drinking, using, giving up an addictive behavior, or leaving an abusive situation, whether it be, oh, there she is. Hey, Tara.
Hello, how are you?
Good. So what I wanted to talk about is we're all here recovering from something. And I wanted to get some stories on what brought you to the place of either leaving an addictive substance or abusive behavior or addictive behavior or abusive relationship or church situation, cult, what have you.
Hmm.
Uh,
All of the above.
yeah, whatever you're recovering from,
Sure.
and what was the thing that spurred you on and gave you the courage to take the next step?
Okay, interesting.
With myself, it was an event where I overvalued somebody's opinion so badly that when we had a disagreement, I wanted to end my life. And
Oh,
my
wow.
friend stopped me. My boss friend,
Wow.
whatever. Um, that was my wake up call.
Wow.
Yeah, that's serious. That is serious codependency when you get to that level.
Yeah. And so was it over right then and there, or did it take a little time for you to get the courage to take the next step?
Oh no, it it required a lot of therapy. I
Okay.
mean, I think knowledge. I think I knew probably that this is a destructive relationship, and probably within a couple days, I knew that wasn't healthy. But still, the repeated pattern, and it's something I still live with today. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't have it completely solved, but
Yeah.
it's just something you work on.
Right.
You know it's there. You know it's a flaw. You know your tendency towards it, so you make steps to try to mitigate that as much as possible, and
Mm-hmm.
you just keep hammering on it.
Yeah. Right on.
A lot like when you're trying to eat a big red chili chimichanga with enchilada sauce and sour cream, and you know it's just too big. And sorry, can't help it.
So Matrix Rabbit, was the shakes from not drinking kind of your catalyst? Is that what brought you to the place of deciding to stop? How about you, Tara?
Well, it was a process for me,
Yeah.
kind of like Ben was
Mm-hmm.
talking about. I had to really want it first. I had to beg for it from God
Mhm.
first.
Okay.
Um, for a long time, I went from like thinking about it to wanting it to begging for it, but I still couldn't, even though I wanted it so bad. And then I put myself in a pretty gnarly situation. It was very dangerous. I was living in my car and someone started following me. Um, like stalking me. And I had also been exploited for labor all at the same time. And I couldn't actually, I hadn't been paid money that I was owed. And it actually, that's what catapulted me into my recovery, because I had to ask for help because I couldn't afford to run away from this guy. The police told me I needed to get out of the area, but I couldn't actually afford it because I hadn't been paid. And so I ended up getting placed at a crisis stabilization unit because I was freaking out, not okay. And they ended up placing me at a safe house, which was federally funded, and they required that I be clean and sober in order to live there.
Okay.
So my safety and my housing and the ability to not live in my car anymore was hinged on my sobriety.
Wow. Yours and my journey are very similar. Getting sober was not even on my radar.
Interesting. Okay. Not at all?
No. Never even occurred to me that that could be a thing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
When I was at that stage, you know, I'd quit drink. I'd had periods where I had quit drinking for a little while, but I never really considered recovery or, you know, making it a permanent thing, I guess. I don't know. I just wasn't drinking, and then I was, and then I wouldn't be, and then I would be. And so how did you get through having that forced upon you, basically, to have a roof over your head?
I wonder sometimes how I made it through, because it was really hard. And I similar to you, I did not think that it was going to be a permanent thing. And I still am not able to really commit to a permanent change, even 3 years in, which is where I'm at today. It's one day at a time. And I think if there's any secret to the way that I actually made it, like I was on Spank's channel last night, or the Lifeboat channel.
Yes, I saw the last part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw you in there, and I saw Ben in there too. And hey, everyone who was there, and hey, everyone who's here now. I use the phrase brute force. It just kind of came out of me when he asked how I stayed sober in the beginning. And it did feel like brute force, especially the first few weeks. It was a lot of crying, a lot of talking to the director about how I wanted to leave and get high, you know, because I didn't have any tools at that point in time. I wasn't seeing a therapist yet. I wasn't going to meetings yet. I wasn't journaling. Like, it was just, and I was in this new unfamiliar place with a bunch of strangers, and didn't want to tell anybody that I was there. And I was embarrassed because I had allowed myself to be taken advantage of and was being followed. And it was just like so much. And then I didn't have my main coping mechanism, which was marijuana at that time. And so it was like super overwhelming. And I really don't know. It was by the grace of my higher power that I made it through, and started to accumulate coping tools, like coping mechanisms, and learning how to be sober and how to be okay with myself without substances.
Did they have a program where you were staying for any kind of sobriety tools, or did you just have to get them the hard way? Or
so the director of the safe house, I had started looking into Smart Recovery. To back up for a second, I had created an online profile for Smart Recovery and was doing that from my room. And then the director knocked on my door. She's like, "What are you doing up here?" And I was like, "I'm starting Smart Recovery." And she was like, "Oh," like, she seemed a little disappointed, actually. And she was like, "Well, do you want to go to a meeting?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, I'm not trying to work right now. I'm trying to be okay without marijuana, you know?" Like, I didn't know what a meeting was. And so, yeah. I mean, I had learned in school about AA meetings, you know, like in 5th grade, that, like, when they teach you about sex and all that stuff, like, we learned about AA meetings, but I had forgotten about that. And so she asked me if I wanted to go to a meeting, and that was about 3 weeks in. It was either do something that I had never done before or start getting high again. Like it was one or the other, and I chose to try something different, and it worked.
Right on.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Mm.
Crystal is saying, I came to see how my addiction was hurting others and myself. I eventually had to reach out to my mentor and get her to put a block on my computer. It was so bad. Yeah. Right on.
Just so you're aware, Minsk is Black Cat.
Oh, hey, Black Cat. Nice to see you. Minsk.
I can relate to what Crystal is saying because it took me a while and I had to have the support. It took me about 6 months of being clean and sober and having a sponsor that offered to help me throw away my drugs and my paraphernalia. And the director of the safe house knew I had that stuff in my car. I wasn't allowed to have it in the house. She knew I had it in my car and she was okay with that. She's like, I'm not going to control what you have in your car, but like, you can't test positive. And I decided I didn't want to use it, but I couldn't part with it either. Like I couldn't bring myself to get rid of it. And my temporary sponsor that I worked the steps, the first time I worked the steps, I did it with her. And she had to basically hold my hand. I mean, not physically, but she was there with me when I threw my drugs and paraphernalia away. And which wasn't
how was that? Was that emotional?
Emotional. I cried. Yeah, it was really hard. Like it felt good. I kept my rolling papers. That was the only thing I didn't get rid of because I was like, well, if I ever want to roll up a cigarette or something, like I might as well keep my papers. I've since given those away and I don't even have those anymore. But it was an emotional thing. I could not do it alone. So I just so relate to what Crystal is saying. Even though like our drugs of choice are different, I needed support to be able to let go.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I would have gotten sober had I not been in a situation. I was in a Catholic charity shelter. I had been dropped off downtown by my friend's mom. She had invited me to come out to California to stay with her, and I didn't understand that she was staying with her mom. So she left out that bit of information on my end, and on the mom's end, she neglected to tell her that I had been invited out to, start a new life, essentially. She was talking about all these big plans that we were going to make and all this stuff. And I realize now she was kind of just she'd gone into the hospital where we were living in Northwest Arkansas with convulsions from alcohol withdrawal. And that's when her mom came and got her and took her out to California. And several months later, she invited me to come out and stay with her. And so the mom kind of had to figure out over a course of 3 weeks that I wasn't visiting. I had come to stay.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. She was running a little game there. She's no longer with us, sadly. And she did die in her addiction. Yeah. And, it breaks my heart still to this day. But, so she told me that in order to stay there, I needed to get at least 1 month clean and sober and that I had to have a job. But, you could take one look at me and see that I was not employable. I was down to a size 0 or size 2. And the reason I know that is because I was able to put on a dress that I had worn in the 7th grade when I was a size 0. And I was able to zip that dress.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
and so she ended up dropping me off downtown and right there in front of St. Vincent de Paul. which is the shelter. And that's when I went in and I asked if there was any rooms available or if I could have a place to stay. And it was a young woman who was taking my basically interviewing me or taking my information down.
Your intake.
And yeah, and I had been put in a situation where I was in a compromised position, and anyway, I ended up being R'd in that situation. And the next day, of course, I'm being dropped off in the middle of downtown San Diego. And
Wow.
in the middle of the interview, I just asked the girl, I said, do you just have like a pair of clean underwear that I could have? And she said, would you excuse me a minute? And she went away for a little while, and she came back with a trolley pass and said this was my 1-day pass for a night, staying the night in a room with 4 other ladies, and that I was going to have to take the trolley the next day and she gave me the address, where to go, what stop to get off on, and talk to a caseworker. And if the caseworker would approve me, I could have could turn into a 30-day stay. So when I met with the caseworker, she said that she would recommend me for a 30-day stay, but that I was going to have to go into a program. He wasn't going to make me do 90 meetings in 90 days, but she was going to make me go at least 3 times a week and recommend that I go more if I can. And I'm like, okay, sure, no problem. And of course, as time went on, it gets to be a problem, and because, you've been dependent on a substance for a long time. I did not go through, the violent, dangerous kind of withdrawals, but, I did go through having to, deal with an addiction in my body and in my mind, and so where I actually got the courage to commit to being sober was when I was in a meeting and I was listening to somebody's story, and it's like the fog was starting, just cleared for a minute, and I saw how close to death's doors I had come, and I just thought, oh crap, and I realized that I didn't want to die. So
Thank God.
Yeah.
Or whatever your higher power is.
Because I thought I had a death wish, but it turned out I didn't. Crystal says, to begin with, I tried a lot of ways to get around the block, but it stopped me every way possible and sent alerts to my mentor that I'd been trying to get on sites that I shouldn't have. Thankfully, the blocks were still on when my mentor passed away, so I couldn't go back to those things. It helped me get over the worst of it. Still struggle with the self-harm. Only slip up a bit when it comes to the porn. Okay, so Kim, this is Kim. When I went to pick up my great-grandmother from a bad situation, I told her I would come get her if she would quit drinking. She said she would if I helped. Oh, we got her clean. Wow, that's amazing.
A lot of times it only takes the support and love of people around you to it's not just that, obviously there's a lot of work you've got to put in yourself, but knowing that there's people around you that love you and support you, it really helps.
It does.
Because that's the only reason I knew I had a problem, is because my friends told me. Because I was just walking around. This was just after all the stuff happened with my ex, and I was just walking around in a misery, very dramatic, and like, oh, woe is me, I've just been through this terrible thing, and I thought it was the worst thing anyone could go through.
Yeah.
Hi, Black Cat. And then I learnt through my group of friends, they hadn't told me what another particular friend of mine had been through, because they know how much I carry of other people. So I would have got really, really upset for her. They didn't tell me. And so here I am walking around like, oh, this is terrible. And then I was making life miserable for everybody.
Wow.
I was really affecting my friendships, and my little nieces and nephews kept seeing me really drunk and crying at the table. And sometimes I'd sleep at the table. And that's not what little kids need to see.
No.
And I didn't know it was that bad. I was
Yeah.
so lost in my own misery. I didn't know how bad I was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It took my very lovely, dear best friend, which I think she's been on this meeting once. She waved hello. She told me that they love us and they want me to be. They love me and they want me to be around, but they can't have me around if I'm going to be like that, because it's not good for their children, and it's also not good for their environment. And that shocked me. And she did it in such a kind way that it didn't hurt. Like, I hurt for them that I put them through it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they told me. Like, because I need to be told. A lot of the times I don't realize what's going on because I'm lost in my own little world.
That's right.
So, yeah. So I'm glad they told me, because it wasn't easy. It's been a process.
Yeah.
It's still not easy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like 120 days. Something.
Wow.
Yay!
Oh, cosmic. That's amazing. Mama's tiara. That is amazing. That is so beautiful. I'm so proud of you.
I don't know, I'm crying.
I think, you know what? I think I was crying on day 120 as well. So I totally empathize with what you're going through right now. I'm so proud of you.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So what gave you the courage to do it, to finally take that plunge?
I don't like things having control over me. And it had control over me. Like, it wasn't a choice anymore. My body physically needed it. I needed it to function, to survive, actually. I was so pickled all the time that if I had just given up, I probably would have died. I'm very lucky that, and that's not being dramatic. That's because I've got like a whole bunch of heart things and all that sort of stuff going on. My heart would have been like, nah. So, and it was basically just because I don't like things having control over me, and I'm not going to let something that's not even sentient have any sort of control over me.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Your story, Cosmic, reminds me. I forget sometimes because it's been over 3 years. I cried so much when I was drunk, and half the time I wouldn't even remember it. My friends would be like, "You were really upset last night," and I'm a blackout crier. People tell me I'm either really funny and like sweet, or I'm bawling when I am drunk and blacked out. I do not miss that at all. There's nothing about that, the overwhelm and not being able to manage my emotions and having to self-medicate with booze. Like, there's nothing about that I miss. Zero.
Yeah.
Well, see, the thing is, I was never a sad person when I was, drunk. I was always a super happy. My true person I came out was happy, bubbly, vibrant, blah, blah, blah. It was only after this whole big thing that happened. And that's including with everything that I've been through until that. I was still like, no, everything's all good. This is what this is for. It's to release and have a moment of relaxation. And it's not meant to be an all day, everyday thing, And then it was only after this whole thing happened that I needed it to get through the day, because if I wasn't drunk, I was thinking. One of the things that actually that I got from AA is that I didn't have a drinking problem, I had a thinking problem. And I was using drinking to stop my thinking. And so and it doesn't work, because it's always there at the end anyway, and it just builds up if you don't deal with it.
That's true. It's very true. Yeah. I remember, like, after it was between year 1 and 2 sometime when I was gassing up my car and pulling away, and I saw a police car, and I realized I don't have to be afraid.
Mm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, that was a big thing,
Yeah.
you know, and
It is a big thing. I still get nervous every once in a while, but I mean, it's like, bring it on. You know, I have a
yeah.
license, my registration is good. Like, as long as I wasn't accidentally speeding, I don't mind at all when I see cops anymore.
Hey,
I know every
hey,
once in a while I'll get just a tinge of that.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was thinking,
That actually
why are you
was.
afraid?
That actually is
Is it?
one of the things I miss. Honestly, being able to, you get a cop, they do their little sneaky turnaround. Everybody knows what they're doing. It's like, okay, go down the alley, the alley, turn the lights off, and just let your foot off the brake so they can't see the brake light. There was something that was kind of fun about that, although incredibly irresponsible. Now, I don't suggest anybody go out drinking, but there was a little bit of fun to it, I suppose, but it's all phony.
I've never done the being nervous around police thing because I think it was one thing I didn't do was drink drive. I think I did once, and I told you guys about it. I think because it was only a couple of days before I went into detox. But yeah, I've never really been afraid of police like that because it's, as far as I'm aware, they're generally around to help. We don't have the same people of a certain type of don't have the same issues as lots of people with police in America, I can imagine, or even regular people. I just don't, I've never been pulled over. I've never been pulled over.
I am so lucky. I have been pulled over while drinking so many times, and I've never gotten busted. And I have been drunk and pulled over before, and I've never been busted. Thank God.
Police seem to like me. I don't know why, but yeah, they never ticket me.
You're a likable guy, Ben. You're a very likable guy.
You are.
Pretty likable.
Thank you, Minsk. I want to thank you for the super chat, and you all need to know you're loved. God bless. Thank you for that.
Aww.
That's very good to know.
Yeah, thank you. God bless you too.
How do you do that? Is it no? I can't do the heart thing. Yeah. Okay.
I like the little heart.
I can do the dog.
Oh.
I can do the
baby heart.
But yeah, I can't.
It doesn't look right because I got nails today. But yeah, there's a baby heart. It's so easy. It's like, yeah, baby heart. I had to learn all that stuff because my daughter was into it, and the more I learned about stuff that she was into, the more annoyed she'd get, and that was really funny for me.
I do have to ask, since we have several. Oh, I'll wait.
No, go ahead. You start first.
I was just wondering, is frustration a trigger for people to drink?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
anything's a trigger. Happiness, frustration, anger, all the emotions are triggering for me.
In the moment of frustration, you can just throw a lot of things out the window.
Okay.
So easy.
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
I think frustration and anger can be some of the worst ones because when you're frustrated, you're ready to get and angry. It's just like you're ready to go. F it! I don't want to do this anymore. What's the point of me even trying this hard? And then that's a point where I think that's quite a dangerous point for a lot of people. Me, yes, I know it is for me, and I'm quite often frustrated and stressed.
Wow.
That was one.
Raining is a quick trigger. Wow. That's a tough one.
That was one of the things I was noticing in a meeting today. I was starting to get frustrated, and you get pulled into fight or flight if it gets bad enough. And I realized, wait a minute, I know how to deal with this. Just and you don't want to make a big scene. You don't want to, but you just deep breathe and you realize that your body's going through, and you can pull out of it pretty easily. But yeah, it was at that point I realized, this is probably a trigger for people who drink.
Mm-hmm.
Henny, so good to see you. Thank you for being here. I've missed you.
Wow.
Yay. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just thinking if fight or flight was much of a catalyst. I mean, any addiction probably has some trauma tied to it, that you're trying to manage some kind of way. And that seems like a good way, drinking or using or some kind of addictive behavior.
Any excuse for me, like any
Yeah.
celebration.
That's what I was about to say.
Frustration,
Yeah.
like someone's birthday, someone's anniversary, something horrible happened, like any reason at all. Just we're getting off of work, like any reason.
Well, if you want to do something, you'll find an excuse to do it.
Yeah.
If you don't really want to give up something, you'll just find any excuse to do it because you're like, oh well, I'll start tomorrow. And it's never today. Tomorrow is never today. So I think in a lot of cases you just got to bite the bullet and be like, yeah, I'm going to do this today. Because I know that for me, I had to pick a day. I had to be like, all right, I'm starting from the January 1st. Because if I was just like, I'm going to start tomorrow, I'll be like, yeah, but the day is not right. It's not the right number of days. And then it's not the right day because I don't like particular days. I don't like Wednesdays. And it's like, I can't start anything on a Wednesday. So, but there was always an excuse not to start it. And then I was like, there's no excuse not to start anything on the 1st of January because there's nothing to do. And it's the day everyone starts everything anyway.
Yeah.
So,
I
just thought that was a good way.
I'm kind of surprised the Bella. I see that name all the time and I never pronounce it, and I know where it's at, even north of Ukraine.
Is it Belarus?
Belarus. Okay, thank you for that. It's always dark and cloudy there.
Wow.
I just Googled it. It's between it's near Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just didn't think there was any. Oh, okay. You forgot about. Yeah, the Baltic Sea. That's probably where it pulls moisture from. Yeah.
I wanted to mention. I kind of misled you all because I did actually get busted one time. I just remembered it. I forgot. I've never been busted for alcohol. But I got busted for weed one time. And there's a whole story to it. But spoiler alert, my case was dismissed. But I had to go to court and everything for it. So.
Okay. Did you get in a lot of trouble or?
I thought I was in a ton of trouble because I had a criminal amount on me in Yosemite, which is federal land. So even though that it's legal in California, the fact that I was on federal land in a national park put me in potentially a lot of trouble because I had over 8 ounces on me, which is a lot. That's criminal.
Yeah. I think they call that trafficable here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's lucky, but I honestly think there are that particular thing shouldn't be as criminalized as it is, but it should be regulated.
I agree.
Yeah. I shouldn't have had that much on me. That was not smart.
No. Yeah. No. Even if it was particularly like we've got one place where it's decriminalized, but you're allowed like 2-3 grams or something personal on yourself at any one time. Anything over half an ounce, I think, is then considered trafficable, which is something you can on-sell.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
But it's funny because it's in our nation's capital, which is where all the politicians hang out. That's where all the stuff is legal. All the worst porn's legal there. All the drugs are legal there.
Wow.
It's in Canberra. Yeah, it's funny because back in the day, I used to have to go get my dad's girly magazines, and so on the back of them they had like advertising for videos because I read everything. I was a voracious reader, I read it for the stories.
Sure
Anyway.
you did. Sure you did. I'm just
I was a kid.
I
I was
know.
a
I'm
kid.
just
Yeah,
I'm
but so
busting your chops. I'm just kidding.
it's funny though. But you'd see these little you had to clip them out coupons for these videos. You could get bunches of videos and you'd send them off to Canberra. It was always Canberra. So I'm just like, of course they make everything legal there because that's where they go to do it all when they're away from their families.
Wow.
Where, if you don't mind me asking, Cosmic, where exactly are you at in Australia? In Perth or?
I'm in Brisbane,
Oh, Brisbane. Okay.
sunny Queensland.
Okay. You don't know. Yeah.
So,
East Coast. Okay.
yeah, it's the best state.
It's because you're there.
Yes.
Aw.
Yeah. Although any state, I actually do love Australia. I'm not because I'm not Australian. I don't have that weird competitive thing where I was born in a particular state, so I don't like all the other ones.
Oh.
I think they're all great. I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And Henny, you just look after you.
Yeah.
Oh no, Henny. Rebecca meant not disappointed. She missed the not word.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
How could we be disappointed in our Henny? No way.
Exactly.
No way.
I always hate that. I was like, oh my God, I've got to type that through. And then I make the typo worse.
Yeah.
Trying to explain it.
Yeah. I do the same thing. Internet comments. It's like words, and I'll stutter when I type, which is a new one. Yeah. And I think it's because the urgency or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, I used to be like that on Twitter, and I'd get my thing out, my really important, super mic drop moment out, and there'd be a typo. I'd be like, oh, no one's going to pay attention now. And then I can't go back and delete it and redo it because then the person I've done it to is going to know, and they'll see the mistake anyway, and I'll be like, oh.
So, what do you think makes you stay on the path? What is your biggest inspiration for staying the course?
You guys.
Right on. I guess
no
mine
reason
is
to otherwise.
I really don't want to die, and that's where I could seriously end up. Yeah. And now I have people that would be disappointed in me. At the time, I wasn't around anybody that could be disappointed in me, but I was scared I was scared into staying straight because I was on foot trying to get around San Diego, and you need to have your head about you. The area of town where I was, you had to have your wits about you.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of my motivation then. And now, I have somebody who doesn't drink and would be extremely disappointed in me if I did. And it's not just him, but it does help when there is somebody that, there's things that you can lose or, compromise if you do it. I don't know. I feel like you have to have more than just yourself sometimes, I feel like.
Yeah.
And, and there've been times when it's been a job or my church or, there was always something that I could latch on to that would be the motivation for staying the course.
My motivation is my mental health recovery. I do not have permission from my nurse practitioner, who's my prescriber, to get high or to drink alcohol. It's just not compatible with the medications that I take right now.
Okay.
And as I work with her and with my therapist, I am noticing that I'm finally feeling better than I was when I was getting high.
Yeah.
Because I've got the right mix of chemicals in my brain now. Like I didn't have that before, and I was self-medicating and I was okay, but I was trapped in the addiction. So it's keeping me accountable to have my nurse practitioner who by the way has said that I might be able to return to using marijuana one day responsibly. Like my relationship with it might change by the time I have permission, but I kind of feel at this point I've given it some thought, and I kind of feel like I don't want like it might be a step backward for me, and I don't want to have to redo all of this work or even go through part of it. The withdrawal, I know it's a controversial topic, marijuana withdrawal, but I went through physical.
Oh, it's a thing.
Totally a thing. It only lasted, the physical lasted for about 3 days for me.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, I was waking up with just soaked. My bed sheets I was soaked in sweat at night. I was having nightmares for 6 weeks.
Wow.
And not to mention all the mental gymnastics that we have to do just to stay clean. No matter what your drug of choice is, there's going to be like mental exertion required to stop that behavior.
Yeah.
And then and then as they say, you quoted AA's adage earlier, Cosmic. I'll quote another one. They say it's not hard to stop, it's hard to stay stopped.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at now, where when I think about going back, it's like, well, what if I'm recovered? If I've put so much work into my recovery, why would I want to go back and use it recreationally and put myself at risk when I'm doing great without it?
In some ways, I don't think she was encouraging you to do it. I was like, maybe she was saying that you've done so well in your recovery that if you wanted to, you could probably, if you wanted to. But see, it's all about choice in the end anyway, and you have that choice.
Yeah, and I do not have permission right now, but just to be clear, everyone, like she said, it's not yet. Like you do not have my permission to start using marijuana now, but someday down the road, once I have my life back together, because I'm still putting it back together.
You'll see, as soon as someone tells me I don't have permission to do something, I'm like, oh, really? We'll see how that's going to work out for you. But that's just me. I actually have a condition that I have a pathological avoidance disorder. So it's like an adult version of oppositional defiance disorder. So if someone tells me to do something, I'm going to do the opposite.
Yeah,
I can't help it, and it's a bad. Yeah, and we'll see. And even I think I have a little bit with this as well, because I'm not going to let some substance decide whether or not I can or not have it. Because then if me not being able to have it means it's controlling me also.
Yeah. That was one thing, being in a high control group situation, authoritative situation, i.e. cult, is that, you had to, in order to be good, you had to be submitted to the leadership and all that. So in a way that was good for me because of that tendency to want to do the opposite, and that defiance, like, oh, you tell me I'm going to do this, I'll show you, or I can't do this, I'll show you what I can do and can't do,
Yeah, well, and it's debilitating to be that way in some cases, because sometimes people tell you to do something and it's good. It's just their approach wasn't great. So I'm like, well, I can't do that now. So because I didn't like the way you told me to. And like me personally, my thing, like mine started out with my father. Mine's because of my father. He was so controlled and it was so strict. I know fan belts really hurt, by the way, and new ones hurt more than old ones. So if
fan belts that go on a car,
so that's what we'd get hit with.
Oh my gosh,
on the back of our legs, so we couldn't sit down, and he wouldn't just do one. It was welts and welts and welts and welts, and I learned that he got more more pleasure out of it when we cried. So we all learnt to not react. And I think it actually led me to help. It actually helped me be a victim later on in life, because it helped me learn that that's what people do. That's what people who are meant to love you, that's how they treat you.
Wow.
But that's another story for a different day.
Well, I mean, it's part of the topic. I mean, because some of us are here having left abusive situations and are in recovery for that. We're all in recovery from a myriad of different things. I'm kind of in recovery for both of those things. Abusive relationship with, a group, but abusive nonetheless. And of course, I was thinking about my first marriage too, and how did I get the courage to stop being that guy's piece of furniture?
Yeah, I actually think my parents being smokers and drinkers, like, because I grew up, marijuana is a big thing, or cannabis is a big thing over in New Zealand. I didn't know anyone who didn't do it, so it was something I grew up with. And also drinking, my mum. So it actually was a protective factor for me right up until my early 20s. Like, sure, I did the binge drinking stuff that teenagers do at parties. But that was also rebellion, because my parents didn't know that I was going to the parties.
Yeah.
And they still don't know. So, but it was a rebellion against control. And so it protected me right up until this last time, because I've never really been addicted to anything. I can give or take anything. Like, I gave up chocolate, like easy coffee, easy sugar, everything. I gave it all up. So it's actually not giving up stuff that's hard for me. It's the mind stuff that happens when I'm not doing whatever I was self-medicating for.
Yeah. If it weren't for the stuff in the mind, we probably would just be able to just stop and just go on about our business.
Right? It's funny, because people are like, why don't you just stop? Why don't you just be like, no, not today? And they'd be like, well, if I could do that, I would already. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
So it's not as easy as just stopping when you've got so much that's made you do it. It's generally a symptom. It's not the cause of the issue.
Yeah.
The addiction is a symptom of issues, I feel.
Right.
You don't just wake up one day addicted.
I really felt like alcohol was a friend that I could depend on, and so quitting it was like losing a friend,
I can't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was never addicted, but yeah, that was my experience in high school. All my friends would be weeping and crying. Oh, I think I got my girlfriend pregnant. I'm thinking, I like beer. I don't have to worry about any of that beer. I mean, let's go out and party. And you can cry about getting your girlfriend pregnant. You know what does that? Beer.
Yeah. You're like, oh, yeah, have a beer, get over it.
Another
that's
thing,
why people react to a lot of things.
Another thing that motivates me to stay on the sober train is sheer curiosity. To be frank, like, I always wondered what I would have accomplished. Like when I was getting high during school and all that, like I was like, man, how would I be performing if I wasn't under the influence all the time?
Yeah.
And now that I've never operated clean and sober in my adulthood. I started using and drinking when I was 15. And so this is the first time in my life that I've gotten a taste of what sobriety actually feels like and how I can perform this way.
Yeah.
And it's going really well, and I'm enjoying myself. And I'm curious as to what it's going to turn into if I stay the course.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah. There's so much that addiction causes you to miss out on so much. There's so much more that you miss out on than you do. If I'm making sense here, what you get from your drug of choice or your behavior of choice or your situation is minuscule compared to all the stuff that you can potentially miss out on.
And that's one of the things that still amazes me, that people recover as much as they do, because I realize in my situation it's just behavior. And most addicts I know, they have behavior plus the means of medicating. So they have to fight all this, and then they're dealing with some of the behavior issues because that is the reason why they do this. And I feel fortunate in that I'm only fighting one side. But even with that, I was thinking about what Tara said, and yeah, that is true, because it is so interesting to me to find out when I don't have low self-confidence that I actually like public speaking. I actually like getting in front of, a lot of people. And as long as I know the material, it's like, hey, okay, we'll speak to this. Here's why you can't do this. And, I don't mind giving presentations. Before, oh, hell, man, I've been collapsed the entire time. And, okay, today we are going to talk about this. And, the whole 9 yards.
That sounds me when I was giving my oral presentations at school. I'd write them out and be really good at it, and take the time. But by the time I got in front of the class, I'd be like, blah, 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 and it was all out in 2 minutes. It was supposed to be a 10-minute presentation. I'd be like, okay, done. And one time, actually, I yelled at a friend who was being my prompt. I was doing the bubble, toil and trouble bit from Macbeth, and I had it, and I was actually, because I'd practiced it so much, and I remember things by patterns, and so it was, and the cadence and the rhythm of it. So, and I was pausing for dramatic effect, and then she prompted me in my next line, and because she did that, it blew out all the rest of everything.
Oh,
and I was like, I didn't need prompting, only if I look at you, right in front of the class. I did it. I berated her in front of the class, and still years later, because I'm still friends with her on Facebook and stuff, and I apologize years later for that. She goes, I don't even remember it. And I was like, it was a fundamental moment of my life where I will never berate someone in public again. If I've got something to say, I'll take them out the back and beat them up. No, if I've got something to say, I'll take them out the back. I'll take them somewhere away from everybody and talk about it, instead of making them feel that embarrassment that I felt even just doing it to her. I can't handle embarrassment, and I just couldn't do it. But that was the stress and the anxiety of it. I can't handle getting up in front of people. So it's like a severe social anxiety that is actually debilitating as well. Sometimes it stops me being able to talk to people that I need to talk to, make phone calls and all stuff, because it's a intense social anxiety. So it'll take me 3 or 4 days to get up the I don't know what you'd call it, to even just make a phone call. So I did it, and I actually made a phone call yesterday that I've been waiting to make for 2 weeks. So, and they didn't even there, and they have to call me back. So now I'm waiting. Yay! But yeah, it's just. But I'll tell you my reason right now for continuing is that a drunk victim's not a good victim. So if I'm going to be a stable witness plaintiff in my particular instance, then I'm going to have to be sober, so I can talk sober, I'll sound sober, and I'll remember things properly. I won't be in a drunken haze like I was every time I showed up at the courthouse every other time. So, yeah. I have a scar on my knee from falling over in front of the courthouse because I thought I was going to see him, and I was so drunk that I fell over. And I was like, I'll walk in there bleeding because I'm dramatic. and my mate's like, no, we can't do that because you look drunk. So I'm like, all right, yeah, fix it.
That is one thing about. Oh, go ahead.
No, son. I'm done.
Oh, I was just going to say that's one thing about AA. I don't know if it's necessarily productive because you're taking people who are in the middle of recovery or their addiction, whatever maybe, and you're making them speak publicly. And Americans, at least, they fear public speaking more than cancer. And so it's like you're taking somebody who's already in collapse. And I get that there's a positive thing is you're admitting to yourself, you're admitting to all these people, you're getting it out of you. I get that, but I still wonder if that's the best approach. But
I never came across anyone who was not willing to share their story. And there was a lot of times the person, the moderator, I don't know what they call the person who was leading the group, would have to say, facilitator, yeah, you're taking too long. Like they're too long on their story because people, once they got up there, they're just, bleh. And in a lot of cases, they do it over and over and over, the same story week after week after week. And my main issue with AA is they don't discourage war stories.
Yeah, those are not helpful. They are not in any way helpful.
No,
but
I think whatever works for someone works. So do it.
I agree. I think they don't discourage war stories, but they do emphasize sharing experience, strength, and hope. And I think the longer you stick around, the more you understand that it's the experience, strength, and hope stories that actually can inspire people and bring hope to people. And so it's like the people who are less experienced or like newer to the rooms, I've noticed that share the war type of stories, or people who just don't seem to, it's like they're never going to get it. They've never put the work in, like they've never worked with a sponsor or worked the steps or anything, and they're just like stuck in this loop of repeating the same things over and over and like parroting what they hear in meetings and things like that. So I agree with you. I agree with you that it's not necessarily discouraged to share war stories, but I think the more time is spent, the less you do that, and the more work you put into it, the less you do that, and the more the focus becomes experience, strength, and hope.
Right on.
I went into a quite an established group in the beginning, so everyone in there was like, I think there was about 2 or 3 people, me included. I was still drinking actually, who were the new ones, because the new people are the ones that get focused on the most in AA.
Yes.
But so because we were the ones that were focused on, everyone got up and told their stories again. Maybe we didn't get to the hope and all that sort of stuff, because I didn't get anything from AA other than I didn't want to go back because it was so close. Although I also got really, really good sandwiches and food and stuff. So I'd be like, I'll go there for the sandwiches and the fruit. And also because I had to. If I didn't go, I wouldn't be able to go to detox. And man, once I went to detox, I was arguing with the lady there because I was like, do you know statistically AA only works like 5 to 7% of the time when you're not using other aids. So why aren't we getting any other help in here other than AA meetings and medication? So yeah, but as I said, if it works for you, then it's great. Whatever works. That particular thing didn't work for me because it was so close to something that was traumatic that it probably was never going to work for me. And it's also it's a bit of control with AA as well. I didn't like the controlling aspect of it, which was maybe perceived or not.
There is an aspect of that. I encountered that personally.
Yeah, but as I said, you can find. I just think I found a particularly insular group, and if I had have gone to a range of different meetings instead of the one that was closest and the easiest to get to, I might have had a completely different experience. And I expect I probably would have, and probably a better, more positive experience. Because I don't go into everything trying to relate it to what I've been through, because Otherwise, I won't be able to do anything. I'll avoid everything. So, you know, I try and take everything at face value as it is, so sort of thing. So, yeah. Advocating for what? I'm missing things.
He put a Minsk. Please don't worry about whether there. I've never had a requirement of anybody to be at this meeting sober. It's never been a thing.
Yeah, because
Ever.
I used to be here, not drunk, but I would be drinking in the meetings in the mornings. You know, so
Yeah,
and on screen, but no, I wasn't
not
drinking on screen, but yeah,
that's not a thing here. And I didn't feel you were advocating. You were just explaining, you know, your situation, where you are, and that's where you are. You know,
yeah,
it's okay. I mean, if you're okay, we're okay. We want you to be okay. So,
yeah.
and there is a way that, you know, if you're ever curious, there is a way that you can do it. It takes medical intervention, but you can get sober and not die. They have ways now where you can do that.
If
Yeah,
you're
I
ever
did.
ready.
Something
Yeah,
you're ever
if you-
curious about, but
Yeah.
you don't have to be even curious or sober to be here. We're about connection and caring about each other. So, yeah. I feel like I
We're all at
interrupted
different
somebody.
stages.
That's right. You are where you are in your journey, and it's, you know, it is what it is. No problem.
Yeah. And Minsk, or Black Cat, aka Black Cat, made a comment earlier that I meant to comment on, and then it got away from me. He said, oh, I lost it. I found it, and oh, there it is. It says, "At my age, seeing you people smile, getting there makes the world a better place." And that actually reminds me of another reason that I stay on the course, which was the topic that you brought up, is that like my whole journey and like picking the Tara Smiling handle back when I was still in my addiction, my motivation was to be seriously joyful, like to actually feel the happiest and most joyful that I possibly could. Now, it's not possible to be that way all the time. We're human. But that journey led me to my recovery. And I am so much more happy today than I ever was in my addiction. And so I really appreciate your comment, Minsk, about it making the world a better place to see us smile and people in recovery smile. Because it hasn't always been that way. And certainly early recovery was not very full of smiles for me. It was very hard, hard, very painful, lots of tears, lots of angry journaling and phone calls to my sponsor, but it's been worth it.
Yeah. So yeah, don't sweat it. I like having you here.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Agreed.
I'd love to hear more about where you're from too, because I haven't really met many people from. I don't think I've met anyone from Belarus, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. Yeah.
You know, I have a few Eastern European friends. I still get a kick out of them. How it's just so refreshing. I'm used to a lot of the Americans here. Okay, you know, they'll give you the positivity sandwich. They'll say something positive, room for improvement in the middle, and then something positive at the end, and all these little games. The Eastern European guys, they'll just tell you, oh, that's a hunk of crap, you know. And how do you think of that? It's like, you know, thank you. That's refreshing. Or if something's acceptable, they tell you. But if what they say it's a pile of crap, that's what they mean, and you know where you stand with them.
Community standards prohibit me from letting you know what my Russian friend used to sound like. She was hilarious. She was so mad all the time. But she wasn't. She wasn't mad. She was just putting on a show of being mad because we all thought it was hilarious when she'd get mad that the lights weren't changing when she wanted to change and all that sort of stuff. I love that sort of stuff, though. You know, I find people who I like people who let themselves go a little, because I find people who are really, really tight hard to be around because it's like, what do I do? Is there some way I can help them relax? And if I can't get them to relax, and I can't relax because I don't know, it's something I just can't. It's uptight people. I've never been able to be around them. Not that it's a problem.
Yay for bluntness.
You know,
agreed, Kristen.
Yeah, bluntness with kindness, because you can smack people with a blunt thing and be kind about it at the same time.
I'm working on that myself. The whole I could probably be more blunt than I am. I've softened things quite a bit, and sometimes I'm not clear. And speaking of being blunt, do you remember on Tuesday? So I'm sorry if I'm derailing the conversation too much.
You're not.
On Tuesday, remember how I got emotional and I was like, I need to talk with my therapist about this at the end of the meeting. And I said I would report back and not to worry because I had to work yesterday. So what ended up happening, I did meet with my therapist and we decided that I needed to have a conversation with my dad, but we're going to role play the next time we meet. And she's going to pretend to be my dad and I'm going to be myself. And, if we were sort of like in the same mental place, then it would be a different story, but he's a heavy drinker.
Yeah.
And it can be really triggering for me to hear him slur his speech and things like that. And that's when we typically talk, is when he gets off work and he starts drinking right when he gets off work.
Yeah.
And I have, when I quit smoking, I actually started smoking again. When I was with him, we started drinking and I started smoking cigarettes again around him. And so it's a huge risk to be around my dad. He's like one of the only people who I think I would cave around. And so I have to be really careful interacting with him.
Have you spent much time with him in the 3 years you've been sober?
I haven't seen him a single time. I've talked to him a few times on the phone, but it's really just like holidays we'll text, and then like birthdays we'll call each other. We're really similar in that respect. And it's usually pretty shallow conversation. It doesn't go very deep because, to be frank, he's usually been drinking and his speech is a little slurred, and my therapist explained to me that you can't have an intimate relationship or a close relationship with somebody who's under the influence. You just can't. And so she went over some different ways that I could express to him if his speech is slurred. Because for all I know, he could have gotten sober in the past year, and I don't even know about it. I actually haven't told him that I'm in recovery yet, because I don't want to hurt him. And the blunt conversation, being blunt, made me remember this, because I'm like, man, I haven't even told my dad that I'm in recovery, and it's such a big part of my life, but I don't want to hurt him or make him uncomfortable at all. And so
it's funny because you're worried about his feelings about your recovery, because a lot of it's to do with people who aren't in recovery but are addicted. They don't really like to see people who are recovering so much, because it reflects back on them that they are still struggling with something.
Yeah. And that's exactly how I was. And I am a chip off the old block for sure. Like, I'm just like him, except for I'm in recovery. And I don't want to make him feel like, I don't know what word to use, like maybe insecure or something, but I don't even know that he has a desire to stop. He's never expressed that to me before. But anyways, my therapist went over some different ways that I could express that I want to connect with him, but that I am in recovery and I need him to be sober to have a conversation with him. Now, I wouldn't bring that up unless he starts slurring his speech, and then I would bring it up. So we're going to role play our next session and practice that so that I can feel comfortable having that conversation with him.
Crystal's asking, Tara, would you be able to have the conversation with your dad, with your therapist, or a mediator so that you aren't triggered as much?
I don't think I need a mediator. I think that would be even more uncomfortable than telling him what I need, because he's not a scary guy. He's a really nice guy. He's like very sweet. He's not an angry drinker at all. He just
Right on.
gets a little sloppy, you know. And he has a good time when he's drinking, which that's the triggering part for me. So if I do sense that he's under,
he sounds very much like my mother.
He's a wonderful man. He really is. So when I talk to him, if I do sense that he's under the influence, then at that point I will communicate that, hey, I've actually been in recovery for a few years, and it sounds like you've had a drink or two, and I would really love to have this conversation with you before you start drinking.
Yeah.
So that it's not about him stopping drinking. Like, I'm not trying to tell him what to do, but to be able to communicate that I want.
That was perfect. That was absolutely, that was perfect.
Yeah, that was.
Anyone reasonable would take it on, and your dad sounds like he'd be reasonable about it.
Yeah. I think so.
There's nothing confronting about that at all. It's just saying, this is what I need for my own recovery.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think he would be proud of me too if he knew. So anyways, that's the update there. I want to rehearse it a little more. I'm glad you think that it sounded good. Yeah. So I'll rehearse it one more time with my therapist.
If I heard that, I'd be like, if someone said that to me, I'd be like, cool, you're right.
I think I would too. I think I would totally respect that. I do. If I were in my, because that was actually when my friend's mom told me that I had to be sober because she's sober, and her situation was that she couldn't be around people who were in that, and I totally respected that. And there were no hard feelings. No, I didn't feel judged. I mean, maybe a little bit, but it was on me, not on her, you know. It was my stuff, not her stuff. And it was good. It was okay. It's okay, you know.
Me and my mom
life doesn't promise us that we're going to have all comfort, and that there aren't going to be uncomfortable moments. So, you know,
I think life guarantees it. We're going to have some very uncomfortable.
I just don't want to contribute to any discomfort on his part. You know what I mean? Like, I want to improve our relationship. I don't want to cause any kind of uncomfortable feelings.
Yeah. I mean, you probably know him more than, you know, you never know how he might really respect that.
Yeah. And like I said, for all I know, he could be going to meetings himself. Like, you know, and maybe he feels embarrassed to tell me. I have no idea.
You know,
and I wouldn't take it as something that would definitely happen, but you could always be an inspiration, you know, and you could be for anyone you come into contact with, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you need to be for your dad, you know. Your dad's his own person and all that sort of stuff, and it's not really your responsibility. But with my mother, because me and her have always had this very open, quite blunt, very blunt way of talking to each other, and I flat out told her, "You're drunk. I can't talk to you." Because she'd ring me up and she'd have her wine glass in there, and I'd just be like, "Really?" And this was years before I even started to try and, you know, even before I started being an alcoholic myself. And it was because it's so difficult to talk to someone constantly over and over again, having the same conversation, because she forgot that she had it like yesterday or the day before or the day before. And that's just her level of, she gets to that point of drinking every time she drinks. And my fear for her now is for her health. And I was like, Mum, I'm not going to tell you to stop drinking, but can you please go and get, you know, blood tests and all that sort of stuff, and make sure you take thiamine and all the stuff that I was told to do in detox, so that, you know, if she's going to continue to do this thing that's so bad for her body, at least put stuff back in that this neurotoxin is leaching out. You know, and that's what I find difficult now, is I'm looking at my mother and I'm seeing her mortality, and she's only
Yeah.
16 years older than me. So that there is my thing now with my mum. And I actually asked my sister yesterday, because we've all had a very, not me and my sister, me and my mum and my sister, like it's always me, my sister and myself against my mother, because she's always trying to play me and my sister off each other. I don't know why. But I figured that our conversation we had the other day about forgiveness and parenting, and I thought, well, I'm going to have to, if I want my daughter to come in, I need to put my wants into action, as in I'm going to try and spend more time with my mother. And I've asked her to teach me how to crochet. So she'll teach me and my sister how to crochet over the internet. She's great at it. And I've learned that I'm not. So I'd like, and it's something that my sister doesn't know how to do either. And all of us together, even though it's, we're in different places in the world, although not that far away, technically considering, we can't be together all the time. Like we've never all been together in the one spot for more than like a few days, ever. So I figured that if I can do this, and my sister, it's a way of building some sort of forgiveness between the daughters and the mother, and she can actually pass down something of worth, which is knowledge.
Yeah. Right on. I like that. Yeah.
I thought so. I thought it was a good idea. And I want to learn how to make these little cute jellyfish things, and I can't do that without my mum. So I need, yeah.
Tara, deep down, I think that there's some kind of message that, wait a minute, let me do that again. I think there's some kind of message that you want to convey, but I just can't place it. I just don't get it, that there's some message that you're trying.
Do you mean like in life or specifically in this moment?
No, I was flashing Ben Turner's Completely Innocent in the screen behind me.
You're trying to what is that called? Subliminal programming. You're trying to program me. I left AA for that reason. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh, man.
I love AA, for the record. I just, since I said that, I feel like I have to say I stopped going to meetings for now, because when I started taking mental health medication and really focusing on my mental health recovery, I got a lot of sideways looks, and I felt ostracized, to be frank. I felt abandoned and misunderstood by the fellowship. So here I am with people who accept me for who I am,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really understand. I mean, you don't get high off of those things.
Huh? I do. It's because in a lot of places and this is something I've come across through, because I went to detox, and it's the only place in Queensland that you can have a free detox. So it's people from all over, and it's a standard thing, because they want you to think that AA is all you need. Just come go to the meetings.
Yeah.
You don't need anything else.
Yeah.
Well, a cult will say that too. Yeah. That's when the AA gets really culty.
And I still find myself sticking up for the fellowship, because it did a lot of good for me. It helped me get clean and sober. Like I don't dislike AA or anybody that goes to those meetings. I just in order for me to stay clean and sober, mental health medication was a part of my journey. And I felt like I had to evolve past that part of my life in order to stay clean and sober, to be frank.
Yeah.
Well, that I did everything. I took recovery as a holistic approach. I did AA, I did smart recovery. I talked to my therapist, medication, what is it? Naltrexone. I did it all because, something had to stick, and it did eventually. So I just think if anyone out there, please don't get discouraged from AA. My particular meeting wasn't great, and and that's not. Well, I can't even say that. I just didn't take
I wouldn't be sober without AA. I know that.
Same.
I know that.
Agreed. I did not mean to diss the fellowship or anything. It's not like that. It's not like that.
Yeah.
No, it's just my particular aspect that I struggled with was that the book was so close to the Bible in its writings and all, and it's just its format and all that sort of stuff, that it was a struggle for me to sit there and open the book and have to read out of it when it felt like I was doing.
It is, the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous is actually based on the book of James in the Bible. And Spanx and I did a book study last night. We're actually starting to read that book because we both appreciate it so much. And a few other people joined us as well. So if anybody's interested in that, please let us know.
I don't dislike the book, and it really helped. I've still got my little copy around here. It's got like unicorns and stuff. I stuck stickers all over it. But it's just that it's the process of it that I found difficult. You know, it was a process, and that's me. It was a personal thing.
Yeah.
Because it felt too close to church, considering I hadn't not long left church. So,
and my perspective on it is that book is, I think it's beautifully written personally. I love studying it. I think the fellowship has sort of twisted the literature in terms of what they support.
As quite often happens.
What they support and what they don't support. And so that's why I think I'm so excited that we're studying the book, because I personally think that it's a beautiful piece of art.
I'll have to find my book so I can read along with you guys, because I love literature. I love words. So I've read all the religious texts, like the Quran, the Torah, all that sort of stuff. Just because I want to know, because you can't, without knowledge, how can you know what other people are thinking or why they think the way they think? Also,
Right.
Is it on your Discord server?
We're meeting on the Lifeboat Discord server, and I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm actually hosting the next one because we're gonna trade off. He hosted last night. We tried to figure it out. We did a lot of troubleshooting and trying to figure out what we were doing. But next week I'm gonna host it on the Lifeboat server. I just don't know what chat room to tell you to go to. But if you're interested, I'll jot your names down now so I can remember kind of who expressed interest. If you want to shoot me an email or message somewhere or leave a comment, or however you want to reach out to me, I'm happy to communicate it to Spanx so we can get you the right information.
Henny, perhaps a revamping of the ways in which they interact with issues. I have a feeling it depends on the group that you're in. I have a feeling that if I understand what you're asking, there are probably less groups where you might feel less judged for, I was judged for, calling my higher power Jesus, and Tara was judged for, choosing to take care of her mental health in the way that she did. And so there are probably groups that are not judgy in those ways.
To be fair, that's true of any type of group that you might get into.
There's
anything.
There's gotta be.
I have to say that there were some smart recovery groups because I did all of those until I found a few people that I enjoyed being in the groups with. And there were some I didn't like either, because some places just feel cliquey, if they've already got their little group of friends. Yeah. So, and that's true of any, it's like high school. I kind of feel like high school never ends.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just, I wouldn't let our bad experience, well, not even bad, our experiences, taint anyone's journey and stop them from maybe doing something that they might have thought about doing in the first, don't not go just
like I said, I know there's no other way that I could have gotten sober, I don't think, than with the way that AA is set up, And,
to be honest, as much as the war stories were really difficult for me, they actually made me appreciate that I hadn't destroyed lives yet. I was on the path to destroying my own, but a lot of these people had been at the meetings. They'd actually destroyed lives, full on destroyed other people through their drinking and not even caring about it. and
Yeah.
I hadn't got that far. And I think actually some of those going to that helped stop me from thinking I didn't, I'm okay, because I hadn't hurt anybody. I hadn't hurt anybody yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because I started going to AA before my ex would come to AA with me and sit there, and and listening to stories of other people getting abused and being like, oh, and I'm there going, looking at him going, oh, look, it's you. They're talking about you. Jokes. I didn't actually say that, but I was thinking it. But yeah, it was just, so
Yeah.
my actual recovery started in the midst of my abuse. Yeah.
Okay.
I do that.
Good ink.
What is happening? Wait, what?
This book is good ink. And
New book smell.
nobody probably younger than the 80s will understand the smell of a mimeograph machine, but
You mean you don't have to
Alrighty
scratch
then.
it before you sniff? No scratching.
Is that what's that machine? Is that the one where you get like a piece of paper and have all that blue ink on it because they kept printing? I love that stuff.
Wow, I've never heard that one, Henny.
thing.
I didn't know about that. They used to have to clean a toilet bowl with a toothbrush, as I recall. I'm going way back. Okay.
Hopefully an old toothbrush.
Yeah, it wasn't that way when I got in the 90s.
oh
Are you talking
my
about
God.
AA?
Where?
Is that
That's
what
what
Henny? Are you talking about AA, or what? Did I miss it?
Well, see, the thing that I
yeah.
know that how I know that AA is not actually definitely a cult is because you can leave and not go back.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Cosmic, yes, Cosmic. Someone told me life is a test, and I said, at my age, I mean, the past or failed, pick one.
I think every day you wake up, you pass.
Right?
Carol, can I ask if you and Minsk or Black Cat have exchanged messages somewhere, like email or?
No, but yeah, you can totally put your social media up here, Minsk. If you want to send me an email, I'll put my email.
Yeah. Or I'm happy to share my email too. However you want to do it, Minsk. I think it would be great to. Oh, you put your email up. Perfect, Carol. Yeah, Minsk, if you send Carol an email, Carol has my email. And Carol, would you be comfortable sharing my information with Minsk so he can join us?
Okay. Yeah.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Right on.
Are you on the Discord? Because I just did a search and I couldn't find you, but I don't always know. Black Cat, because in the actual lifeboat Discord, because I can generate an invite, but I can't post it here. I can in the Facebook group though.
So to be clear, the book study is the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous is what we're actually reading.
Oh.
It's not an AA meeting. We decided to make it just a book study so that when we finish, or if we decide that we get bored of the big book, which probably won't happen, but if we decide we want to switch to a different book, like the Tao Te Ching, we were talking about the I Ching or I Ching last night, which I'm not familiar with, but he's really passionate about it. So it's a book study. It's not an AA meeting. It's just a general book study, and we'll probably read different books in there.
Yeah, the reference on that, Minsk, was that the big book was based on the book of James.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would I be mad?
Have you read the Course in Miracles?
Did I miss something?
You ever read the Course in Miracles?
Why would I be mad at Henny?
Yeah, say something. Just let her know that you're not mad.
Yeah, I'm not mad. Why would I be mad?
Henny, don't feel bad.
GIS moron.
Oh man.
Or, Carol, could I actually ask you a favor and could you put my email in the chat also, just in case anybody wants to get a hold of me?
T right, right?
Put Tara Smiling at yahoo.com.
Okay.
Has anyone read The Course in Miracles?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
It's
Yes.
Eckhart
Thank you
Tolle.
so much, Carol. Thank you so much for that. That'll make it easier. And sorry to interrupt. Minsk, if you want to send an email to that address right there, I'll make sure to or get in touch with Cosmic. She'll get you an invitation to the Lifeboat, because that's where it actually is. It's not on my server. We're having the book study over at the Lifeboat server.
The Course in Miracles is a foundation for inner peace. So it's a very new agey book. So back in the day, actually, I stole this one from the library, being new age. But it's I don't know what it's based on, but it's supposed to be super interesting.
Yeah, it's basically Eckhart Tolle, right?
I'm not sure, because I've only ever read the mini version, because this one felt like too much hard work.
Yeah, I read that.
So
Rebecca, thank you to Book Huffers Anonymous. We rule.
you know what? That's a group. I'm never going to stop being addicted to books. So because I go to bookshops and I'll just put it back. Don't like that one. Well, some inks are really, 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 really strong and powerful and gross. So especially generally the inks on the photo print paper, I don't like those ones, because they smell toxic. The other ones just smell like brain. Okay.
Well, what do you guys think? Have we had a meeting?
Sure have.
I feel like we
so.
have.
Yeah.
But if 3 in the chat. If there's anybody who still needs a meeting for something, put a 2.
I can't type in this one.
3 means you're good. Think of it as 3 is part of a heart.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just thought it was 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, 1 is prayer, 2 is need a meeting, 3 is I'm good. We've had a meeting.
Well, I know that Amisha made a little clip of what the numbers mean, and I saved it to go back and watch. I just remembered it then.
If I owned California, I'd be good.
It's a lot of work. Owning the state of California is a lot more work than I ever imagined.
Indeed. Thank you,
All right,
man.
well, I'll see you guys. What's today over there? Thursday. Tomorrow. Hang on. Is it Friday? I don't even know
No,
what
it's
day it is here.
Thursday. Well, it's
Friday
Friday where you are, right? Yeah, it's Thursday here in the States.
I get so confused. All right, well, I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Okay.
This was a really great meeting. I like these ones.
Yeah. I do too.
Love
Very
you.
kind.
Love you.
Hey.
Thank you for that super chat. And thanks to you amazing people, all of you. God bless. Right on. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
I can't believe Henny thought I was mad at her.
Yeah.
What?
Henny, we can't be mad at you. Are you kidding?
Nobody
Come on.
can be mad at Henny.
No way. No way. Not possible.
What holds the swamp thing together? I've been wondering. I mean, I know he's like kelp and stuff. Pus?
What?
You know,
A swamp?
The swamp thing.
What swamp thing?
The swamp thing. He's like
the comic book character.
The swamp thing.
the comic book character swamp thing.
Yeah. What holds them together?
Oh, I thought it was
brute force.
Yes, brute force.
Okay. I thought it was pus, but okay. I thought that's why he squishes when he walks, but okay.
Algae and one with shell says algae and boogers.
Boogers, not bad. Not bad.
Yeah.
I feel like I could say, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I love you too, Henny.
Yeah, same, Henny. Glad to see you today. I'm so glad that you stopped in.
I miss your Annie, I really miss your accent. I really wish,
Right?
even if you won't say hello to my little friend, still, I love your accent.
I love
Thank
being
you,
here with you
Kristen.
all. I always feel like I could just stay here and talk with you forever. Like, Carol, you have just this something about you. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I never want these conversations to end.
Aw, thank
So
you.
thank you for continuously showing up and for everything you do.
Tara,
Thank you for that. I
tonight
appreciate it.
your Discord meeting?
Yes.
And where?
Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently people can't find it by searching Tara Smiling, but if you send me an email to tarasmiling@yahoo.com, I can send you a link to the server. The meeting is tonight at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, which I know is a little late for some people, but we are going to have a special guest tonight. Spanx is going to come and check it out. He wants to lead a meeting. He might lead next week, but he's going to come tonight and check
Nice.
it out. Is the
Okay.
plan. I don't know. He was
Okay.
not feeling too great earlier, so I don't
Mm,
want to make any promises, but we talked about him coming tonight and then maybe leading next week or the week after. So if you
right
want to
on.
join us, we will be over there tonight
Right
at
on. That
6
could be,
o'clock Pacific.
and it's the big book, right?
No, the
Oh,
book study that we're doing is on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock.
okay.
The
Okay.
Discord meeting that I host is on, and that's over at the Lifeboat, the book study.
Okay.
The meeting that I host on the Tara Smiling Discord server is on Thursdays at 6
Okay.
o'clock Pacific, and it lasts for 1 hour.
Okay.
And Tara,
Okay.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to remind you, feel free to write a book, and if you do, use a nice, good-smelling ink so Rebecca and I can enjoy it.
You know what? There's going to be a scratch and sniff portion of the book as well. All right. So I hope to see everyone tonight. If you can make it, we've been having fun over at the Discord meeting. So
Right on.
just, again, send me an email, tarasmiling@yahoo. I'll send you a link to it, and
Okay.
hope to see you all soon.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Carol.
Thank you, Tara.
I had to get her to plug her Discord server.
Right on. That's good.
New York coffee.
Yeah.
Coffee. Oh, well, I'll figure it out eventually. So how are the animals doing?
They seem calm today. I did have to get on to Petey for chasing Flash, one of my boy goats.
Did you have tornadoes there?
We had a really intense storm that dumped a bunch of water on us and then went away. So but it was really kicking up a storm. It was a lot of wind, a lot of water.
Oh boy.
Yeah, other than that, there was no hail or tornadoes or anything like that. So we'll take it.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ben.
I hope you have an awesome day.
You too. Great meeting you guys. I love having each and every one of you here with us to do this. And you guys make this an amazing community. I mean, it's not needing a meeting unless you're a part of it. So I love each and every one of you, and I'm thankful for you. And I hope to see you again next meeting. And until then, peace, y'all.